All right, my name is Julie Masson, and I get to talk to you about posting with purpose, how to use social media to glorify God. So a little bit about me that really won't matter for anything, but I have been in the social media marketing world for about 10 years, which means I am old enough that I went through all of high school. Try and imagine this. I went through all of high school and all of college with zero social media. Okay? Can you imagine? I know. But I was young enough that when social media came out, it wasn't completely foreign to me. You know, I wasn't like both of my sweet grandmas are on Facebook, and when they first got on, they were super confused by it. I was young enough that I was able to get on and kind of understand how it worked, and I was able to start doing it for work. So what's really interesting is when I think about what I wanted to be when I was little, what I'm doing now is not something I could have done when I was little because none of it existed. So some of the things I've done is I've talked with missionaries about how to use social media to communicate back with their churches in the States. I work currently, I'm the marketing director for the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention. That's a really long title, and every time I say it, people go, what? So you should know that on social media, we're just known as @ERLC. So that's what I do now. I once started a business that was built entirely on social media, and then I sold that after 6 months because it was Kansas City Mom's Blog, and I was a mom, but I didn't really care about the mom world, so it felt like it made sense for me to not be investing my time there. And then I also write a monthly column on social media and tech in a magazine called Parenting Teens, put out by Lifeway. But none of that really matters. Because we're going to be talking about how to use social media to glorify God. But before we do that, I'm going to make you move. So you need to not get comfortable. You're going to have to actually take your stuff with you. We're going to divide you guys a little bit so you can see the different phases of social media use. So take out your phone. If you have a smartphone, hold your smartphone up. Raise it high. Okay. All right. If you do not have a smartphone, you are going to come sit in these first 2 rows. All right, so come on up, and if you're in the first 2 rows, you're going to need to move if you have a smartphone. So if you do not have a smartphone, come up to the front. If you do not have a smartphone, don't have one, period. Yep, if you have a smartphone and you're in the front, you got to move.
Oh, okay.
If you do not have a smartphone, stand up and come to the front. Do just 2? Okay, can I have you move over there? Is that cool? Sorry. All right, so this is last time we had, no, you have one. Last time we had almost our entire 2 rows were people without smartphones, so this is really interesting. Okay, keep your phones up. I have a few more questions. We're going to kind of divide you guys. If you have your own social media account, keep it up. You can just have one. If you do not have a social media account, I want you to stand up and come to the front. No social media. Is there anybody? Last time we had just one. We have some. Okay, good. You guys can come sit up here in the front. No? Yes? I'm sorry. You can sit right there if you want. Okay, so these are our now do you guys that don't have smartphones, do you have social media accounts? Which one do you have? Snapchat and TikTok. And how do you access those with no smartphone? Tablet, okay. What about you? Do you have any social media?
Yeah.
Which one do you have?
Phone. And I have all of those except for Tumblr.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. All right. Anybody else? No social media? Okay. Now, keep your phones up. Get your phones back up. Put your phone down if you have less than 250 followers on any platform. Keep them up if you have more than 250. On any platform, any one platform. Don't combine them. Don't say, ooh, I've got 10,000 across all of them. Okay, keep them up if you have more than 500 followers. Okay, who has more than 500 followers? You have mine, okay. Man, our numbers this time are way different. I was going to separate you guys, but it's not working out so well. All right, you guys can go ahead and sit wherever. Okay, keep them up. I want to see who has more than 500. More than 500, raise it up. One, raise them up really high. Don't be shy of your followers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep them way high if you have more than 500 followers. Okay, keep them up if you have more than 750 followers. Okay, all right, somewhere between. You have more than 750? All right, more than 900? All right, okay, very good. Okay, the reason I did that is because last time it was very interesting. We had the front 2 rows were teenagers who don't have any smartphones. Now, some of them had social media, which they access through other things. So where's my 2? You are my 2 without social media. We already talked about that, or smartphones. You are my 2 without any social media, right? Okay, let me ask you this. How do you interact with your friends? Okay, so you keep up with them by talking to them at school, okay? So you talk to them in real life?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. What about you? Talk to them at phone or at school? Do you ever call, do you have access to a phone? So do you ever call your friends with your mom's phone or something?
Or I have my own phone, but I don't have any social media.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. For those of you who, let's see, for those of you with no smartphone, did you say you had a phone? But it's not a smartphone.
It is, but I don't have it.
Oh, gotcha. No, sorry. Okay, so you're the only one with no smartphone, period. All right, my daughter doesn't have one either. Let me ask you this. Do you want a smartphone? Yeah? Do your parents not let you have one? Okay, I'm a big fan of your parents. Okay, do you wish you had social media? You do, that's right, you do have social media and you have access it through a tablet, correct? Okay. Okay, those of you who have less than 200 and 500 followers, let me ask you this. Do you wish you had more followers? Raise your hand if you were the 500 or less people. 500 or less followers. Do you wish you had more followers? Okay, let me hear why. Raise your hand if you got an example. Go ahead.
I'm pretty content with how I think I present myself, and I don't really see that people need to, I don't need to have other people to assume my value because I have God.
Okay, so you don't care about more followers because you don't want other people to assume your value because you get value from God. All right, what about you?
I don't really care because I know I have real friends at my school and things like that, so I don't really need a bunch of friends on social media.
Okay, and are most of the people you follow on social media, are they friends in real life? Okay, right here, what about you?
The only reason I really have social media, well, my parents are missionaries in Mexico, so
Okay.
I live in Mexico too, so I like to use social media to have my friends from Mexico to communicate with them.
Okay,
And I have a private account, so I only use my friends and family for my account.
smart. That's very smart when you are newer to social media. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm very stranger danger, so I only know the people I actually know in real life. So if anybody tries to add me, I block them automatically.
I just have to tell you guys, I am so encouraged by the teenagers of today and what you guys are and aren't doing with social media. Let me affirm you. I've been really encouraged by the last session and this session. You guys are thinking through social media in a way that is in some ways healthier than I've seen adults. So good job, okay? Okay, who is my one that had, how many do you have? 850. Okay, do you wish you had more followers? No? Are those all people you know? Nuh-uh. But some, okay. How many of you follow, well, let me ask you this. Do you guys see a difference between influencers? Everybody know what an influencer is? Okay. Do you know the difference between an influencer and a famous person, like a movie star, athlete, all that? Okay. How many of you follow famous people? Okay, and tell me why you follow. Someone raise their hand who hasn't talked yet. Tell me why you follow a famous person.
Just keep what people are doing.
Okay. How much of what they post do you think is real? At least 10%? Okay. All right, how many of you follow influencers? Okay, tell me why you follow influencers.
like some things are just cool to see.
Okay. Do you like trust their opinion on things?
I mean, I just follow on Instagram. I just follow people on Instagram just because I'm interested, not necessarily because like, oh, I'm just so
Okay.
just so inspired. I don't know.
Okay. Let me ask you guys this. I did not ask the last group this. If you could only follow your friends or influencers and famous people, and you had to pick, which one would you follow? Friends. Okay. Interesting. Very good. All right. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit more about this device that I just used to divide you guys up. When I look at this device, which, by the way, we're going to talk about this device and social media is not evil, okay? Social media and smartphones are not evil. I want you to walk away knowing that. When I look at this phone, I look at a stage. Okay, so a girl in the last session I had asked her, I said, what do you use social media for? And she said, well, no, she was one that didn't use it. And she said, I don't really want to, there's lots of drama at school, and I don't want that drama coming back into my life and in my home, which I thought was a very good answer. So speaking of drama, we're going to talk a lot about drama today and about a stage. So like I said, when I look at a smartphone, I see a stage. So how many of you have been to a school play or some kind of theater performance? Okay, perfect. So this should resonate with you. So you walk into the theater, right? It's probably dark. There's thick red or purple or whatever curtains up on the stage. There's nice cushy seats. Who are the people that step up on the stage? Actors, actresses, performers. What are they doing before they get on stage? They're rehearsing, they're preparing, but let's say it's opening night. They're backstage. What are they doing? They're getting ready. So they might show up wearing, their whatever, casual gear. But when they get there, what do they have to do? They have to change into their costume. So they're doing their hair and their makeup and they're putting on their costume. And when they step on stage, are they themselves? No, they're playing a role, right? Okay. I think that when we look at social media and we see it as a stage, there are a lot of people, maybe even some of you, I know in the past it's been me. We see social media as a stage that we get to perform on. And we're changing our hair and our makeup and our personality, and we're stepping into a role that is not, one, it's not very close to our real life, and two, we're doing it because we want all of the attention on ourselves. But there's not just performers at a play, right, on stage? Who else is involved? Well, yes, but the audience. The audience. So let me talk a little bit about the audience. The audience members, you're just kind of in your comfy seat. It's dark. No one really cares that you're there. Well, except for the actors, because if no audience showed up, that'd be a bummer. But have you ever been to a play and you're watching the actors and actresses and maybe you've got a friend up there and she botches up her line and you're like, ooh, that was bad. You're kind of critiquing, judging, watching, observing, okay? So I think that some people see social media as an opportunity to perform. And if I'm 100% honest, I actually think a lot of adults do this too. So people who view social media as a stage, they are making the platform, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok especially, they're making that performance all about themselves. So, and I'm not just going to pick on girls. I'll try not to, because I think guys do this too in a different way. But have you ever seen a picture? Let's pick on Instagram, because Instagram is notorious. There's a girl, and she's got a cute outfit. Maybe she's posed like this, looking forlornly. Maybe she's got her toes pointed in, looking out a window with a cute, clever caption that shows how happy she is and how inspired she is by the outfit that she's wearing. Have you guys seen these posts? Yes. Okay. Some of you might even say, ooh, I've done those posts. When you see a friend do that and you know that her real life is kind of a mess, maybe she's sad, maybe her parents are getting divorced, something is really hard in her life right now, and you see her post something like that, what do you think of the audience member? What, say it again?
You're faking.
You're faking, that's right. Anybody else? So we're going to talk about why the stage can sometimes be harmful. So the teenager or adult posts something, or who posts pictures mostly of themselves with quotes, catchphrases, or short narratives, they're presenting themselves to a watching world, and that stage is on social media. How many of you know these people? They might be influencers, they might be people in real life who you know they're actively, they might not realize that they're doing it, but they are using social media like a stage to perform on. How many of you, raise your hand if you follow people like that? Okay. You don't have to raise your hand, but I want you to think about this. How many of you are these people? Okay? So these people that use social media as a stage, they might have harmless intentions. Okay, they might be doing that stuff because they don't realize what they're doing. They don't realize that they're hungry for attention. They don't realize that they want everyone to look at them and they want all the attention and glory for them. So their intentions that's why I'm saying I want you to have grace with those people, especially if it's a friend in your life. The last thing I want is for you to leave and elbow your friend and go, she was totally talking about you. You need to stop that, okay? Someone might not know that they're doing that. So have some grace. But even if someone is harmlessly doing this and they don't mean to, I think that this kind of interaction with social media where we're stepping into a role on stage and we're just watching as an audience it's harmful, and I'm going to tell you why. So if you are, let's go back to the audience because I didn't talk much about that. So how many of you don't really interact much on social media? Sometimes I call these people the lurkers. So you're scrolling, you might not be liking, you might not even be commenting, but you're watching all of the stories, all of the TikTok videos, but you're not really doing anything. Does anybody resonate with that? How many of you are lurker audience members? Okay. I'm not going to let you off the hook because those of you who see yourself in the performer who's constantly stepping on stage to perform in a role, that's harmful, and I'll explain why. But the audience members that just sit there and engage and scroll and don't like and don't comment and lurking, that's also harmful. Why would it be harmful to just be sitting there and lurking and not commenting or engaging? Go ahead.
You might see something and want to be more like that, and you keep seeing it.
Very good.
You want to become like that.
Yes. How many of you, after maybe 30 to 45 minutes of scrolling and watching stuff on social media, start to feel worse about yourself? Has that ever happened? It's happened to me. I see people's vacations or their kids, and sometimes I can find myself, and I don't even recognize that I'm doing it, but afterwards I'm thinking, my life is just, ugh. Why even live? Not really. But we sometimes do that, and that's harmful. And when I'm just sitting on my couch and I'm scrolling and I'm looking through things, what am I doing in that moment? Am I living? No, I'm sitting in my cushioned theater seat. I'm in my car or I'm on my couch, and I'm looking at someone else's fake life. That is no way to live, is it? When God created the earth and he created us, I don't think he envisioned me to be sitting and spending hours and hours on my couch, not living and engaging in this world that he's made. So, let's talk about a little bit more about why the stage of social media can be harmful. And I'm going to tell a few embarrassing stories about myself. Hopefully you guys won't be too embarrassed. My daughter was in the last session, and I don't think I embarrassed her too bad. Last Sunday, the Chiefs played in the playoff games, right? Anybody watch that? Yeah. Okay, go Chiefs. So our family loves football. We love the Chiefs. So on Sunday morning, we all wore Chiefs stuff to church. And I was in worship, and I love worshiping with my church. That's one of my favorite time of the week. We're singing songs, and I'm reading the words, and I'm singing the songs. And what's running through my head is, after church, if we all get together, we could stand by that wall. Maybe we could do like a jump shot. We could all pretend to be catching a football. And I could say this. I was putting together a social media post in my mind while I was in the middle of worship. Because I was thinking about the audience, because I work with a bunch of people who live in Tennessee. So they were all Titans fans. So I thought I could post that on Twitter and I'll be able to show them like, ha ha, we're going to crush you. My family is so dedicated to Chiefs. We're so dedicated to Kansas City. I was creating this image of myself that I wanted others to see. And I was thinking about how I would craft that and how I would post that picture. And I was doing it in the middle of worship at my church. And I caught myself doing it and I went, oh my word, Julie. Like this, none of this matters. Who cares? That audience on Twitter that might see the picture of your family wearing Chiefs gear, that doesn't matter. Right here in this moment or ever. Right here in this moment is when you're supposed to be worshiping the God who made you. And so I just quickly confessed that to God and said, man, I'm sorry. I want my attention to be on you. And then as our pastor started his sermon, he prayed and he said, Holy Spirit, I just ask that you will prevent distractions from everyone's mind for the next 30 minutes. Well, guess what? About halfway through the sermon, do you know what my mind started doing? Went back to that social media post that I was thinking about doing. It's sickening, isn't it? When you hear that. How many of you have been in my spot though? Where you're somewhere thinking about the social media post you're going to do. In that moment, I was thinking of an audience, wasn't I? And I was thinking of a role that I wanted to step into. I'm going to give you another example. Last October, I ran my first marathon, and a lot of people knew I was going to be running the marathon. I didn't talk a lot about it on social media, but I talked a little bit about it. And then you can track people with the app. And about halfway through my race, it just tanked hard. And I was dehydrated and I had to start walking. My pace went way down and I was like, oh my word. And I knew people were watching. I knew people were going to wonder afterwards how I did. And so I'm at like mile 18, mile 19, and I'm thinking, okay, here's what I can say when I post my social media posts about how this wasn't the marathon that I dreamed it could be, but I worked hard. And I was literally just battling through these awful 26.2 miles. And I'm spending my time and energy thinking about how to craft this image of this terrible moment that I'm in. All I'm worried about, not all that I'm worried about, but I couldn't stop thinking about how I was going to portray this moment to an audience on social media. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Completely ridiculous. But I was thinking about an audience that I wanted to perform for. So in both those instances, who was I wanting to draw attention to? Say it loud. I can take it. Myself. Who did I want people to look at? Me. Who did I want people to notice? Me. I wanted the glory and praise of man. Who am I actually called to bring attention to as a follower of Christ? Say that one loud. God. Okay. In Genesis 1, we see that we are all made in his image. So we're created to look like him. We're created to reflect him. But honestly, when I log on to social media nowadays, oftentimes I want to log off. And this is not going to be a rant against social media. It's really not. But because what did I say in the very beginning? Is social media evil? No. Okay. But on social media right now, what I'm seeing a lot of is stage actors and actresses and political pundits and armchair analysts. How many of you have an armchair analyst sports dad who sits there while you're watching shows and he knows Mahomes, if he would have just done this, da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Okay. We all have that uncle or whatever. Everyone has an opinion, an angle, or a product, an influence. I'm going to give you a hint. Influencers have a product to promote, okay? Everyone has an opinion, and they have their own personal stage that they believe is being watched by an attentive audience. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Not everyone cares, and not everyone's watching. There's not an audience out there watching your every move. I know it can feel like that. So when we step on stage into this role on social media, here's what we're forgetting about. We're forgetting that there's already a stage. There's already a drama that has been unfolding. God is on the only stage that matters, and he's doing amazing work. Okay, this phone, you can use this phone to see through social media what God is doing. From Timbuktu to small town Iowa to Saudi Arabia, God is doing amazing things, and he's already doing it. He's the one on stage. He's the one who is presenting himself and saying, look at me. So when audience members get sucked into the drama unfolding on the stage of social media, they are giving praise and glory to something other than the one who designed them for so much more. So when we sit there on our couches or in our cars or in our bedrooms and we're scrolling and we're just watching like an audience member and we're just watching people's lives, influencers, famous people, our friends, we're giving those people praise and glory. When we're performers on social media and we're using social media solely as a way to feature ourselves, we're giving praise and glory to ourselves, and we're drawing attention away from the one who created us. So as Christian teenagers, as adults, and like I told you earlier, none of this stuff is really specific to teenagers. I see adults doing this. Sometimes I see adults doing it worse. We must approach the way we do social media differently. If we follow Christ, if we claim to follow Christ, we have to do it differently. I'm going to read you a short passage from Isaiah. Isaiah 43, 1-7. But now this is what the Lord says. He who created you, O Jacob, he who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. For I am the Lord, your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I give Egypt for your ransom, Cush and Seba in your stead. Since you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I will give men in exchange for you and people in exchange for your life. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Listen closely to this last verse. Everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made. Why did God create us? To glorify him. We are created to bring glory to God. So who is your audience? Because we all are performing. Even those of us that don't have social media or a smartphone, we all are performing to some degree, okay? So I want to ask you, who is your audience? Is your audience Christ or is it others? If you're a performer, and you don't have to answer this, I don't want to know who thinks they're performers, who thinks they're audience members. But if you're a performer, are you pointing people to the only one who deserves the glory? Are you performing for an audience of one, the only one that matters? If you're an audience member, are you judging and critiquing? Are you comparing yourself to these fake lives? Are you more concerned with watching someone else's fake life than living your own life for an audience of one? The only one that matters. Here's something else I really want to drive home with you guys. And you can see this in this chapter from Isaiah 43. You can see God says, he's talking, or that's about Jacob, since you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I want you guys to know that God is watching. And when I say that, I'm not saying God is watching, so watch what you post. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have a holy God who loves you deeply. When you wake up each day, it's like God is right there by your bedside saying, all right, let's go. I can't wait to do life with you. This is going to be a great day. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be with you through your hard things. I'm going to be with you for your fun things, but I am here to be with you. God sees you. God notices you. We do something in our family called, I call it a game, but it's not really called I Notice. And we'll grab the family around and I'll say, all right, let's play I Notice. And my daughter might say, I noticed today that Sammy was really helpful with Colton when he was struggling with something in his backpack. Or my 10-year-old might say, I noticed that Renee brought home a really cool thing that she made in art, and I thought it was good. We do that because we want we want members of our family to know that they're noticeable, that we see each other. We're not just people living without other connections around us. We're noticed. But the biggest thing is that I want you guys to know is that God notices you. I think so much of what we do on social media, so much of what we post is because we want to be noticed. We want others to notice what we're doing and what we've done and what we've accomplished. But you need to hear this. God notices you. God sees you and God loves you. And his view of you, he is the only audience member that matters, okay? One more thing. When you post, or what you post and how you post matters. I want you guys to think about, before you post, who are you wanting to bring glory to? Are you wanting to bring glory to yourself, or are you wanting to bring glory to God? I will say that over the past probably 4 to 6 months, God's really been doing something in me. Again, I am not anti-social media. I think social media is something that can be redeemed for so many good things. But I'm finding myself recently, I'd write out a tweet or I get an Instagram post and I find myself deleting it. Because I realize, I'll think through, okay, what am I trying to accomplish with this post? Well, I want people to laugh, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just giving you an example though. I might say, I want someone to laugh at this. But really sometimes what I'm saying with that is I want people to find me funny. I want them to notice me. Or I want them to notice what I just did. And when I realize that that's my motive for posting something, I'm deleting them. I have deleted more posts before posting probably in the past 6 months than I ever posted. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's something God has been taking me through. I hope you guys are encouraged and know that God sees you, God notices you, and what you post and how you post matters, okay? We're going to have a time for questions. I'm going to say, I know there's some adults in the room, and I'm happy to answer your questions, but I would like to make sure we have room for the teenagers to ask their questions first, because we had some good specific questions from teenagers. And the parents and the adults might have different questions than the teenagers do, so I just want to make sure we leave room for that. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. It's a quiet group. Let me do this. There was a guy in the last group, and I think this is a really, really good thing. He was the one person that said, yes, I want more followers, because he's into music and he's an artist and he's wanting to grow his audience. So he said, hey, how do I find the balance between, like, I do need to grow my audience so that I can reach more people with my music. I want to reach more people with my music, but how do I find that balance? So what I said to him is, there's a difference between posting so that you get lots of attention and posting in a way that provides value to people. So what I told him is, hey, if you have been gifted, if God has gifted you as a musician and you feel that God has called you to that, it's very good, and it's going to be glorifying to God if you continue to pursue that talent. And so what you need to do if you're doing something like that, because I know there's some of you who might be future entrepreneurs or future artists, whatever, maybe you're going to build things that you can sell and you're going to use Instagram to feature your products. Make sure you're providing value to your followers. So as an artist, he was asking about that, and I said, hey, provide value to those people. Maybe you can help them understand how to play an instrument. Maybe you can help them understand your writing process, because that shows a future musician how to write. Does that make sense? Okay. Last call. Any questions?
Facebook does a lot of those games. Tell me about yourself. Where have you lived? And all those little questions. And I don't like to do that. It seems like somebody's just scrolling for information about people. Is that true?
I don't do those. I'm pretty hesitant. There's too many international companies that have created a lot of those apps, and they're collecting data. So I try and stay away from all of those, because there's enough data about me online as it is. I don't need third-party apps to have my face, information about myself. So yeah, I try and stay away from those. How many of you have private Instagram or how many of you have private social media accounts where only people who you approve can follow you? Okay, how many of you have public accounts? Okay, I would strongly encourage you, unless you have permission from your parents, to have a private account. You guys probably know this even more so than me, but there are a lot of strangers can easily connect with you online. So I would encourage you to don't just let anybody follow you. Talk to your parents if you're feeling uncomfortable about someone who's following you. But be selective on who follows you, okay? That's my mom coming out on me, okay? It's not about posting to God's glory, but I need to say that. Anything else? Okay, thanks for coming, guys. Enjoy the rest of the conference.